Welcome to Planning Preview for the month of February. My name is Jason Bieber with the Planning Office at the City of Sioux Falls. And joining me as always on the coldest day that we've had so far this winter is Karla.
One day the cold will go away, I'm sure of that.
Well, I would hope so, though. That's what seasons are. But,
True.
But great to have you. A little bit smaller of an agenda today.
Yes.
But still some good projects. So let's get right into it and talk a little bit about them.
Let's do it. So the first one here is a rezone from a single family zoning district to one that allows for a little bit more density. This is already being used as a fourplex. So the applicant here is just wanting to make that 100% accurate on our zoning map. And then with that, this gives us a chance to look at the parking, making sure that's all there. And then she's maybe also wanting to add another unit there. So then that'll give us another opportunity to take a look at building code and then again, the parking and landscaping.
You get a little bit more density in the kind of core area of the city. So
right.
That's great. And this is kind of one of those ones where we went back and looked through and kind of found some building permits that converted it legally to a fourplex?
Yes, at one point it was being categorized as an apartment. So this really, truly just cleans up the zoning map.
Yeah, kind of our little shape places, some of the overlooked things that we've had, which we do couple times a year, so that's great. Good. This one I'm kind of excited for because it's kind of an old assisted living facility that hadn't been used for a couple years, and now we're kind of getting some people to invest money. So tell me a little bit about it.
Right. So this one was categorized in 2014 when we were changing over from our new zoning ordinance as an apartment complex, but since it's got some assisted living facility components, this gives us a chance to clean that up and utilize the S1 general institutional district to really make sure that it's accurate in our zoning map.
Yeah, and then this is kind of located south of 41st and west of the interstate, kind of back in there, right? And I know we've talked to the applicant here a little bit, and he's actually kind of looking to get this thing up and running again and then add kind of a substantial addition to it, correct?
Right, so it's been vacant for quite some time, so having some good tenants in there is something that I think will benefit the neighborhood.
Yeah, and I think he talked to some of the neighbors that are pretty excited for something to go there, and so something to kind of reuse for that neighborhood. So that's a great reuse of buildings, so that's awesome.
More opportunities for our seniors.
Absolutely. And then here we've got kind of office zoning going to commercial, kind of by the Heart Hospital?
Yes. So this application will utilize the commercial zoning district to maybe do a strip mall and have some other amenities for the neighborhood, as well as an interior remodel of that existing building.
Kind of another reuse out there, which is great by the Heart Hospital, which we're seeing kind of a lot of traffic, more traffic out there. And then once 85th Street interchange goes on, we'll probably see a lot more traffic out that way too, going to the new interchange. So I think this is a great reuse of that building and kind of get even some more density on a vacant portion of the lot. So
yes.
It's a great project there too. And then we've got PUD for Sanford's main campus, which is great to see. I know they are finishing up the big addition that they did over the last couple of years, but this will kind of expand it a little bit east of Sanford. What are they looking to do there?
Like you said, they are reinvesting into an existing campus and going up, which we are huge proponents of that density. And then they've actually identified some more area that they would like to move into to the east. And instead of going all the way to Minnesota, this kind of amends it and they only go down to Prairie.
And that's really good, like we'll talk about later in the segment with our next guest, but just how lucky we've been with the investment that we have from our two great healthcare systems, Sanford and Navarre. So it's great to see those campuses in the core area of the city continue to reinvest in those campuses. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was interesting to see that at one point they planned to go all the way down to Minnesota. And I think it's strategic that they kind of pull back and only go down to Prairie. So then there's a lot of that neighborhood component that still lives.
Yes. Yep. We don't have to bulldoze all those houses.
Right.
Yep. No, it's great. All right. Well, that's what we got, it looks like, for this month. So a shorter agenda, but I think 3 of the projects are pretty awesome. So that's all great. Well, thanks for joining us, Karla.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. After the break, we're going to have Neil King, our chief building official, to talk about 2025 building permit numbers and also give us a little bit of preview of what he thinks is going to happen in 2026. So stay tuned.
Hey, this is Seth with the City of Sioux Falls Housing Division. I'm here today with another Home Maintenance Minute for you. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about your driveway in the winter. It is a city ordinance that you have to remove the snow within 48 hours of each snow event. And so in order to get that snow and ice off of your sidewalks, off of your driveways for yourself, a lot of people like to use salt. And I myself have used salt, and it works really great. However, as you can see with this driveway, this in particular homeowner used some really aggressive salts, and so it actually ate through the top layer of their driveway, and it's all pitted, and there's sand everywhere, and this concrete isn't going to last as long as it should. The Housing Division wants you to know that clearing your driveway and sidewalk helps avoid safety issues for individuals in wheelchairs, neighbors passing by, and delivery drivers, or anyone else who needs a safe path. Clearing ice and snow can avoid damage to your sidewalk, such as water infiltration into cracks and joints, specifically during the thaw-freeze portion of winter. There are multiple products and methods for clearing snow and ice from driveways and sidewalks during the winter months. We encourage you to do your own research and understand the consequences of the products that you are using. Lastly, we want to thank you for taking care of your investment and continuing to keep Sioux Falls the safe, neighborly community we enjoy. Thank you for watching today's Home Maintenance Minute.
Welcome back to Planning Preview for the month of February. Joining me now is Neil King, our Chief Building Official. Thanks for coming on the show, Neil.
Oh, no problem. Good morning, Jason.
Yeah, great to have you. We kind of try and do this once a year. You got the 2025 building permit numbers kind of all buttoned up, and excuse me, the mayor did a good press conference about a week ago, but we wanted to have you on to not only talk about how much evaluation that we did, but maybe kind of get into the numbers a little bit more about how many residential units and where we're seeing a lot of the buildings.
Yeah, so 2025 was a challenging year. It was very busy, and building services seemed to be down staff all year long. So it was a busy year and challenging year for us. At one point, we were 12 weeks behind on plan reviews for a commercial plan review submittal till it was picked up by a plan reviewer, just sitting there for 12 weeks. So it was a very busy year. So we ended the year at $1.32 billion, which is the second best year for the city of Sioux Falls. Commercial drove that number. We had 3 really big projects with CJ Foods, Avera, and Founders Crossing. Residential was down, but it was still steady. If you look past, the 2018, 2019, we're kind of falling back in line with those numbers before the big boom of everything that happened.
So you that's a good point. So you said this summer you guys were about 12 weeks out for building permits or somebody to pick it up. And I know that was a lot with you guys were down a position, and then you had a new person start with training, and then you had, excuse me, Mariah move over to fire but still be under you to increase efficiency. What do you typically like? I mean, what do you want to be at? Like, what's a goal maybe?
The 3 to 4 weeks is our goal.
Okay.
In the busy season, we really don't want to get much over that 6. So 6 to 7 when it's busy is what we want to see. So we were about double of what our goal is. So
yeah, and I think you guys, like I said, with those shuffling around and the new person that you have and Mariah helping with fire now, it seems like it's been a lot more efficient. Is that true?
We're starting to get more efficient. Mariah jumping in on the fire things, doing fire plans, and I mean that's going to help out a lot. There was a lot of, just plans being submitted and looking at real fast and things getting missed. What was costing contractors money and time out in the field. So now we're catching those problems on paper instead of when we got equipment out there tearing things up and having to rebuild.
Yeah,
a lot easier to erase lines and redraw it on paper than.
Well, that's great. So you told us we were at about 1.32 billion, somewhere in there, 1.33, which you said was the second biggest year, and it's about what 250 million over last year.
Yeah.
And do you kind of expect? I think we kind of expect over $1 billion is kind of the norm now. If we're less than $1 billion, that's probably a really down year. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say if we're under $1 billion, construction, that industry is hurting. With the population and the size of Sioux Falls now, we're almost just self-sustaining with that $1 billion, with just people doing additions and remodeling and stuff like that. So, you take out the top 3 permits we had this year, we're still at that $1 billion mark.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, if you see on your commercial additions
Yeah.
and remodels, we're $3.14 million of that. So that's just people adding on, remodeling, changing use, repurposing of old buildings. So
Which is, that to me is a great number to see, because that tells me and maybe you and all of Sioux Falls that we're getting people to reinvest into some of the vacant buildings. So
Yeah.
the office or industrial that are moving up maybe to the Sharappas or the Sioux Steels, people are coming back and going into their offices and remodeling, reinvesting. So that number seems really good, just like I said, because we know hopefully there's not a lot of vacant buildings, which we
Yeah.
don't like to see.
So yeah, you hear a lot about density anymore. You know, as the city grows and we're getting bigger, you know, you hear that concern from the general public. When is the city going to worry about density? Well, I think this shows that on the commercial side, people are reusing their old buildings and changing use,
Yeah.
and you know, they're using that older infrastructure. So
Yeah, which is great to see. So it looks like we're about 500 less permits than last year, and then about, 1,500 or 1,800 than 2023. Are you seeing that the valuations are just bigger for those permits?
yeah, like that change in number of permits has to do with the downside we've seen in residential.
Okay.
The commercial work is still there, the number of permits on the commercial. 22, 23, that number is a lot higher. We had some storm damage.
Oh, okay.
So when you get a storm come through, then hail and them re-roof and siding permits, just
You do
they
a
blow
lot
up.
of them,
So
yeah.
yeah, when you see those really high years, that's usually pushed by, you know, houses and stuff getting repaired by storm damage. So, but yeah, the reason we're a little bit low is the residential side of things was a little bit smaller than normal. So
Well, that makes a lot of sense then. I didn't think about that, so that's great. So let's talk a little bit about new residential, because I know we always talk about this every year. Looks like we did just under 2,000 units, which last year we did 2,150, and the year before we did a little close to 2,700. So it looks like single family was down a little bit. Duplex units were actually up. Townhomes were up. But multifamily was a little bit down. And I think we see this every year, and we talk about it a lot, how we kind of built multifamily early 2020, 21, 22.
Yep.
Because we needed to house all those people that were coming into Sioux Falls. Vacancy rates started to drop, and now we're kind of on the bottom cycle of that, where we need the vacancy rates to go up, which I think they kind of are starting to go up. And then we'll have to build more apartments, and then it'll come. It's just kind of this loopy cycle that we've seen over the last 30 years, right?
yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. We're getting back to that normal cycle.
Yeah.
We were just on a right for 10 years, everything was going up.
Yeah.
And now we're starting to see that normal cycle of ups and downs, you know. The single family units, interesting enough, the numbers are down,
Yeah.
but the overall valuation of a single family house has gone up.
Oh, really?
And I think that's why if you see townhome
Yeah.
units, that was up, you know, 50 plus permits there. That twin home unit allows for a less expensive way
Yeah.
for people to get into a home. So I think that's why you see those numbers up.
I agree. That's almost a first-time home buyer. And to see duplex numbers, I mean, as you talked about it, you know, a couple minutes ago, density, to me, I know 71 duplex units doesn't seem like a lot, but we did 0 in 2020. I mean, that's increasing density, which
Yeah.
is what we need with areas that we already have infrastructure in. So that's a good number to have, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is a good number. A lot of that is coming from the Founders Crossing, but we
Yeah.
see more of
Still.
those every year, and we see a lot of, you know, in the core neighborhood, we see a lot of those getting remodeled now, and you know, maybe going from there was units where it had 4 to 5 to 2 to 3 to, you know, get a little more space downtown and get people moving downtown. So not quite so small units, but
it's just great to see there's the options, right?
yeah.
We're not just building single family and apartments. There's other options in there. And
Yep.
it's senior housing, like you talked about with Founders Crossing, but townhomes, we're building a bunch of different things for people to be able to go into. So it's great to have options.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's great. Those are great numbers. And then just 2026, let's just talk. Well, actually, let's just go back through some of the bigger projects that we did first. And we'll talk about 2026. We have to get your prediction for 2026, right?
Oh yeah.
But you talked a little bit about the big one was obviously CJ Foods up there in Foundation Park. That was the biggest permit that we did, correct?
Yep, that's CJ Foods. You know, that's the Asian food manufacturing that. CJ Foods, they do a lot. You know, they got pizza processing plants in Kansas, and now they're bringing the kind of consolidating all in one plant instead of having multiple different locations that do the same type of food, but maybe this one does egg rolls and this one does something else. So they're just bringing all that processing to one plant. And yeah, we got that here in Sioux Falls.
Which is great. I mean, we got this brand new plant up in Foundation Park, which is awesome. I think the other great thing that we continue to see too is the investments from our healthcare institutions. Avera is still investing not only on the main campus, but also on their southern campus too.
Yep. So yeah, Avera, this was a huge one, a big addition then going on at the main McKinnon Hospital there, and like you said, down Avera on Louise. And you know, Sanford, they're not on this, but they're just finishing up a large project that they started, and I think that one started in 23. So both hospitals are investing and growing.
Yep, those are, Sanford's project is nice, those new buildings, and then they're putting the new hotel in and a bunch of different stuff. So it's great to see those. And then, you know, we've got some apartments in there, obviously. We've got the airport is doing their airport terminal expansion, which is awesome that we've got that building. And then I think one of the great ones, you talked a little bit about it, was Founders Crossing, which is Good Sam's project out there on 57th and Veterans Parkway. Just a really cool area for our seniors to go.
Yeah, those are kind of neat. You're starting to see those kind of pop up all over the country, where it's more of a senior community living. And once you move into there, you can start from, you know, you're still independent on your own and stay there all the way to where you need more dependent care.
Yeah, no, it's great that, like you just said, you don't have to, well, now I have to move to this side of town to get, you know, memory care, and then I have to move to this. You can kind of just do the different steps there. It's great to be able to do that. The Core Trust Bank, I know from a planning perspective, it's a bank, I get it, but it was nice to get some single-story redevelopment on Minnesota Avenue to a two-story building, kind of trying to push it up closer to Minnesota. So I was excited with that project. I know most people, it's a bank, whatever, but it was nice to get some reinvestment into Minnesota Avenue too.
Yeah, and it just shows that, you know, we don't have one industry keeping Sioux Falls. We have the manufacturing with CJ Foods, medical, financial with the bank. So our growth is diverse. So we're not dependent on one industry in Sioux Falls. So yeah, it's good to see it.
It's very good. And then we got the Sioux Falls building, the new Power Light building, which is kind of going out in the northeast part. I'm glad they're able to get into a new facility with the old one that's like 150 years old right by the airport.
Yeah, they didn't have much room to grow or do anything new out there, and it's about time for
Yeah, I agree. And then you provided me, which is really cool here, and we'll show this as part of this, but this kind of new residential distribution heat map kind of thing. And the coolest thing about it is you look at it and you're like, oh, well, we're only growing northwest or south. It's every quadrant. It looks the same almost, right?
Yep, that's why I wanted to print this out. For so many years, you just hear that, you know, the southeast, so that's the only place that's growing. That's the only thing. Well, it's all around. You've got new residential on all four corners of the city, and even some in the core of the city, you know.
Those are great to see.
And this is single family and townhomes. This doesn't include apartments.
At all. No, I think this is just a great map to show that we're going in all areas of the city, which also scares us a little bit, because then we got to provide the infrastructure for all those areas, right?
It just spreads us that much more thin.
Yeah, but it's a great map to have. Well, this is great for 2025. So what are you expecting for 2026? What do you think?
I'm expecting 2026 to maybe look a lot like 2023 and 24. We're going to be down. We're not going to get back up to that 1.3, but from what we're hearing out there is the first half of the year is going to be slow on the commercial side of things. I think we'll see a pickup in residential, just because, you know, interest rates are the feds are kind of figuring out what they're going to do there, and there might be more steady. We're hearing the second half of 2026 could be good for the commercial industry though, so I wouldn't be surprised if we end the year 2026 on a high. So
that's awesome. I know we've talked or have had some people inquire about some pretty large projects. Hopefully those kind of come to fruition. If it's not 2026, but 2027, that could really drive that number up. And it's just kind of, till they pull the trigger, we kind of are in limbo a little bit with that. But like you said at the beginning, the size of Sioux Falls and the fact that we keep bringing in, 5,000 to 6,000 people every year, the numbers are still going to be around a billion. I mean, if
Yeah.
we're below a billion,
That's
that's
just
a
gonna be-
really bad year, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's doing business in Sioux Falls now. We're going to see that number. So
Yeah, it'll be interesting though. I'm kind of looking forward to the multifamily units to see if we're kind of at the bottom and they start trending up a little bit this year.
yeah, it'll be interesting. Like that's right now one of our biggest permits in the queue right now is an
Just
apartment
multi-
building. So
Okay, there you go.
apartments,
See, there's a little
They're still
insight.
coming in. They're still building them.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us, Neil, and we're excited to have you back, hopefully in 2027 to talk about 2026 to see if you're good at predicting. So
Yeah, we'll see how I can do. See how my crystal ball is.
yeah, and thanks for joining us for planning preview for the month of February. The Planning Commission meeting this month is on February 4th at 6 o'clock at the Carnegie Town Hall. As always, we allow public input on any of the items that we talked about tonight. And we also do have that 5-minute public input comment at the end of the agenda for you to talk anything planning related. So thanks, Sioux Falls, and have a great day.